Yeah, I'm pretty confident. To be honest, the only thing that I'm thinking about is that if Bivol wins this fight, like what they would have to do a rubber match. To be honest with you, I would pick Bivol because Bivol beat Canelo.
Hmm.
So basically, when I beat Bivol, that'll make my case and better than Canelo. And I know Dmitry Bivol really well. I've sparred him a lot. He's a great fighter. And we've had a lot of great sparring sessions, so I definitely would love to fight Bivol.
David Benavidez has accomplished his goal of winning against David Morrell, but the Mexican monster is not sitting idle for too long. He has revealed his preference to fight Dmitry Bivol right after Bivol's match with Artur Beterbiev. David Benavidez's father, Jose Benavidez Sr., shared his thoughts on the massive win of his son. He asserted that David Benavidez has proved himself to be an exciting fighter and has got enormous recognition from the people after his win.
Like I said, we're here to give fans the fights they want. I think finally we get a little bit of recognition and the approve of the people, that David's an exciting fighter.
Jose Benavidez Sr. emphasized on people's love to see David Benavidez's fight. He pointed out that Benavidez is ready to fight whoever comes his way. Benavidez Sr. asserted that David's fights are guaranteed to be action-packed battles and has warned all the fighters to prepare themselves at their best, highlighting the massive beating David Morrell faced against his son David Benavidez.
And people love to see David fight with whoever, and they know that it's guaranteed an action-packed fight, whoever he fights with, because he gets the best out of every fighter, and they gotta be ready. They gotta prepare themselves, because you see what happens with David. He comes and puts the pressure. He throws punches. He's ready to come to war.
Ariel Helwani watched the intriguing battle of David Benavidez versus David Morrell. Helwani has revealed that David Benavidez would be attending the fight between Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol on February 22nd in Riyadh.
By the end of the fight, I was just thinking like, man, could you imagine Benavidez against Beterbiev? Could you imagine Benavidez against Bivol? Luckily, he told me yesterday he's flying out to Riyadh. He will be there in attendance on February 22nd. Ooh. He wants next. I hope we get next. I hope we get him against the winner of that fight.
Ariel Helwani showed his excitement to see the fight between David Benavidez and Dmitry Bivol. He labeled it as a fantastic fight if it happens. He went on to speculate the possibilities after Beterbiev and Bivol's fight.
It would be, I mean, it would just be like, it would be like literally two monsters just going, like two zombies going in there toe to toe. And I guess, I thought Bivol won the first fight. And then I'm thinking, all right, let's say he figures it out and he wins the second fight, and he does it more comfortably, right? No controversy. I'm starting to think like, okay, are they going to try to do a trilogy, or
They have to.
I'm more interested in the Benavidez fight.
Although there are chances of a trilogy occurring after the fight between Dmitry Bivol and Artur Beterbiev, Helwani is more interested to watch the winner of this match fighting Benavidez before any trilogy is put after Bivol versus Beterbiev. He said, "I want some fresh blood now, okay. I saw them twice. I would say, give me the other one before the trilogy. Give me Benavidez versus the winner before the trilogy." Famous broadcaster and journalist Ade Oladipo also echoed his sentiments on whom he wants to see fighting Benavidez. Despite being a dedicated fan of Dmitry Bivol, he shockingly revealed that he is longing to see Beterbiev versus Benavidez. Ade enlisted the major points on why he thinks this matchup would be a disaster.
I am the biggest Dmitry Bivol fan on planet Earth, and I feel like what I'm going to say next is blasphemy. But I'm so desperate to see Beterbiev Benavidez. Yeah. That in a way, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I just want to see Beterbiev Benavidez because I want to see a guy stand and trade with Benavidez, because there was times when Morrell had to take a step back. I'm telling you now, Beterbiev's taken no steps back. Benavidez has taken no steps back, and it's going to be mano mano. This is honestly, it's frightening to think what these guys will do to each other.
Benavidez is desperate to test himself against the division's best fighters, as well as expressing his desire to face Canelo. Canelo Alvarez has been linked with a fight against the Mexican monster for many years, ever since David Benavidez became mandatory challenger. Right after his win over David Morrell, Benavidez shared his insights on fighting Canelo.
I don't know, bro. You guys keep asking me about that fight, and I know as much as you guys. I would love to fight Canelo. It'd be a massive, massive fight, but Canelo says that he has other things, and he says I'm being too mean.
and the way I'm approaching them. So
You don't want to face monsters.
you know, what I mean, I guess I got to work on my attitude.
After securing his position in the light heavyweight division by gaining a victory over Morrell, Benavidez is confident to fight the winner of Dmitry Bivol and Artur Beterbiev. While speaking at the Ariel Helwani show, he expressed his concerns on whether the Bivol versus Beterbiev fight would seek a trilogy or not. Benavidez also asserted that he would have no problem waiting if a trilogy is placed after the winner of Bivol and Beterbiev.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident. To be honest, the only thing that I'm thinking about is that if Bivol wins this fight, like what they would have to do a rubber match. You know what I mean? And like I'm just like thinking, who am I to say that they can't fight another fight because they fought 2 great fights. So that's basically the only thing I'm thinking of right now. But I would, if that's something like that would happen, I think I wouldn't fight until they get that done with, and then I would move into that fight after they have a trilogy.
David Benavidez recently shared his desire for his next opponent, naming Dmitry Bivol as the fighter he would most like to face. Since Dmitry Bivol defeated Canelo Alvarez by unanimous decision, Benavidez pointed out that fighting Bivol will enhance his credentials.
To be honest with you, I would pick Bivol because Bivol beat Canelo. So basically, when I beat Bivol, that'll make my case and better than Canelo. And I know Dmitry Bivol really well. I sparred him a lot. He's a great fighter. And we've had a lot of great sparring sessions, so I definitely would love to fight Bivol.
David Benavidez further made it clear that he's not only ready to face the winner of Beterbiev versus Bivol, but also eager to prove himself in bigger fights. He said, "I think it proved to everybody how much heart I have. So me against anybody, bro. I'll bet the house on me against anybody. And I'm just looking forward to making history." On the other hand, Artur Beterbiev has revealed that he is not a fan of Benavidez's boxing. In regard to fighting Benavidez, he asserted that he will see this possible fight in future.
I'm not real fan of boxing, and I didn't watch his fight. I saw some highlights. He's a good boxer. I mean, we'll see in the future.
Meanwhile, Ade Oladipo has expressed his desire to see Benavidez fighting Beterbiev. He highlighted that Benavidez is used to causing a bit of trouble by talking smack, but when it is time to fight, Benavidez cannot play this card. He said, "I am fully in for Beterbiev versus Benavidez, fully in. And Benavidez likes to cause a bit of trouble. He likes to talk a bit of smack, and I love it. You can't talk smack to Beterbiev because he's not interested, like just literally won't mean anything to him. So that card there, he can't play. It's just about a fight, and that'll be a fantastic fight." Dan Canobio shared his thoughts on the massive fight between David Benavidez and David Morrell. Praising this fight, he went on to call this fight an all-time classic and blasted Morrell for proving to be inexperienced. He said, "David Benavidez gets himself a decision victory over David Morrell in an outstanding fight. It was on pace to be like a thriller, like an all-time classic throughout 4 rounds, where I was on the edge of my seat inside of the T-Mobile Arena. Benavidez took over in those middle rounds, and Morrell's game got late too, although he performed super tough throughout the fight, but ultimately proved to be a little inexperienced. Some people think that David Morrell somehow succeeded in getting a knockout in the 11th round. Chris Algieri suggested that it was not a knockout, but rather Benavidez was blocking the shot.
I thought it was an awesome fight. I thought Benavidez came out looking great. Yeah, he was flash knockdown. Don't hold that against him, because you can't hold one little section, one little flash knockdown or a slip, however you want to look at it.
It wasn't a real knockdown, guys.
It was.
He actually blocked the shot with his arm, and he fell off balance.
Right.
Like the punch didn't even land.
Chris Algieri further went on to praise the fight. He asserted that every round in this fight was competitive, and Morrell was losing in almost every round. He said, "I love the main event. I love the fight. I like the way that it played out differently than I expected. I knew it was going to be a good fight, and it was a good fight. It was entertaining. I thought it was going to be a little more competitive. I thought it would be a lot more competitive, actually, right? That night I was like, this is a very competitive one-sided fight, and I know people, what does that mean? How can you have a competitive one-sided fight? Because every round was competitive and Morrell was there, but he was losing almost every round." Now, David Benavidez is the mandatory for the winner of Artur Beterbiev versus Dmitry Bivol. Dan Canobio laid out his insights on this, evaluating the fighting attributes of the fighters, and highlighted on how it would be carried out when they fought with Benavidez.
Benavidez is the mandatory for Beterbiev Bivol winner. They're fighting February 22nd. Either or. Give me both of those fights. If it's Benavidez versus Beterbiev, we have 2 locomotive trains going at each other, 2 power punchers unbelievable fight. If it's Benavidez Bivol, styles make fights, right? And we have Bivol as the mover, as the boxer against Benavidez, who's going to come forward. It would be an undisputed fight. It'd be something different. I can't wait. I hope it all plays out. I hope Benavidez does get the winner of Beterbiev and Bivol, apparently.
Chris Algieri emphasized on the significance of this fight. He asserted that everyone has a different style, and he is eager to watch them fighting no matter who wins. He said, those are the fights to be made, and I'd like to see them both regardless of who wins or loses whatever. Put Benavidez in there. I want to see him match those styles. I want to see because all three of them are very, very different styles. Chris Algieri emphasized that boxing is an unpredictable sport where any fighter has the potential to win and defeat their opponent. He pointed out the possibility of Benavidez losing, asserting that Bivol and Beterbiev both are the kind of fighters with good athletics. He said, I'd like to see that match because boxing math is a weird thing, man. Like one guy beats one guy, then that guy beats this guy. It's like it can always go around and be weird. So I'd be curious to see if he could be the guy that'd be a better to top both, or man, he might lose to both. They're that good, and it is interesting to see how these guys are gonna match up. At the same time, the anticipation is quite heavy as the fight between Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol takes place on Saturday, February 22nd in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. In their recent face-off, they both refused to shake hands with each other.
In the ring, I like it. Handshake?
No.
No handshakes.
Callum Smith, who has faced both men, losing to Bivol as an amateur and Beterbiev in a 2024 title fight, offered his opinion on the upcoming rematch. He said, they're both very, very good fighters. I think that showed in the first fight. It was very hard to split them. I seen a lot favored Beterbiev, a lot favored Bivol. A draw, probably a fair result, but I don't know. I just think second time around, they obviously know each other well. I just don't know if the time keeps going on, it favors Bivol a little bit more. He's younger, he's fresher. Callum Smith asserted that the last fight was the toughest fight of Beterbiev's career. He went on to pick Bivol to win this time. He said, Beterbiev, we keep saying it, but he can't keep just going on. That last fight was the toughest of his career. It'll be interesting to see how much that has taken out of him. Is he finally gonna look his age? I don't know. It's gonna be another really close fight and tough to pick, but if I have to side with one, I'd side with Bivol this time. Teofimo Lopez has weighed in on this upcoming fight between Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol. He predicted that Beterbiev would hurt Bivol this time. Lopez went on to admire Bivol for boxing well, but recalled his bad performance in his last fight.
Who you got February 22nd, Bivol or Beterbiev? I think same outcome, Beterbiev. But rooting for Bivol. Hopefully he does better than the first time. If anything, I think Beterbiev is gonna hurt Bivol this time around. But kudos to Bivol, man. He boxed very well, but he just didn't show enough grit in the last championship round.
Sergio Mora, a former world champion, has had his say on the potential clash, and he has given his backing to Beterbiev if the meeting ever takes place. He compared Beterbiev's legacy to Benavidez, and even went on to favor Beterbiev over Benavidez. He said, I'll favor Beterbiev in that fight, even as a 40-year-old. If Benavidez is the Mexican monster, what is a bigger monster? King Kong? That's Beterbiev. He's a killer. This is like the Loch Ness monster, Sasquatch, beast, or bear. Whatever Beterbiev is out, that's a killer, and I would favor him over Benavidez. Spencer Brown has shared his thoughts on the upcoming fight. Despite admitting that Beterbiev is a very hard man to beat, he went on to favor Bivol.
Main event of the evening, Mr. Beterbiev against Mr. Bivol.
Bivol.
I think Bivol won the first one, Spencer.
So
After watching it back.
2 rounds.
I had 7-5.
2 rounds then?
Yeah, I had exactly the same.
So I think Dmitry Bivol will come. He's a very hard man to beat, though. Beterbiev's a hard man to beat, isn't he? But
Roy Jones Jr. has now shared his breakdown of the contest, pointing out some key factors. Roy Jones Jr. thinks if Beterbiev comes out with his usual aggressive style, it could be an advantage for both fighters as it would allow Bivol to land counters. On the other hand, if Beterbiev is cautious, Bivol could edge the fight like he almost did last time. Speaking to the Ring magazine, he said, I think it's going to be another great fight, another epic fight. I'm thinking Artur is going to be more Artur this time, which could be good good for him, or it could be bad for him, because when you go for the kill on Bivol, it gives Bivol the chance to hit you with those counters. But when you don't go for the kill on him, you give him the chance to edge the fight out, like I thought he did the first time, or be a draw. We'll see what happens. I think Artur learned a lot from it. I'm sure Bivol learned a lot from it too. David Benavidez will be a keen observer when the Artur Beterbiev versus Dmitry Bivol rematch. The Mexican monster is in line for a shot against the winner of the Beterbiev versus Bivol rematch after his clash with Morrell. The highly anticipated rematch between Beterbiev and Bivol comes just 4 months after they met in their initial undisputed 175-pound bout in October. It was Beterbiev that claimed the win on that occasion, winning by majority decision to add the WBA strap to his WBC, WBO, and IBF belt. Benavidez had disagreed with that decision, telling FightHub TV that he scored the bout to Bivol. Benavidez said, "I thought Bivol won the fight, to be honest with you. It was a close fight, but it couldn't have gone either way. I thought Bivol won most of the rounds, controlled most of the rounds, and his combination punches were better." Despite initial uncertainty, he then needed just 2 words to declare who comes out on top in the rematch. He said, "Bivol wins." Now, Benavidez is getting a shot to fight the winner of Artur Beterbiev versus Dmitry Bivol. At the same time, boxing analysts are offering their opinions on who he should fight. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think Bivol will win and get a fight with Benavidez, as he himself wants to fight Bivol this time? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Do not forget to subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon to get all the future updates.